Well, we continue with our breaking news story. Former President Jacob Zuma announcing there that he will not be voting for the ANC in the 2024 elections, but will be voting for the newly registered Umkhonto weSizwe Party, or MK. In a statement read out by his daughter Duduzile a few moments ago, he said it was not enough that he chose not to campaign for the ANC ahead, saying he will not and cannot campaign for the ANC in the run-up to the elections. He does, however, say that he will remain a member of the ANC until he does. Of course, plenty of questions in terms of the implications of the announcement. Political analyst Professor Bheki Mgomezulu joins us now for more analysis. Prof, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. So, former President Jacob Zuma citing several reasons, in fact 7, I counted, why he is making this decision, calling it the ANC of Ramaphosa has un-ANC leadership tactics. What do you make of this latest development?
Thank you very much for having me, and good afternoon to your viewers. Yes, indeed, this is a huge day for South Africa and the globe for a number of reasons. The 7 reasons that you alluded to are in fact not surprising. You recall that on the issue of the chair of the so-called State Capture Commission, Justice Zondo was not the first choice. You know that for a fact. There'd been other people before, and then later on he ascended into the stage, and then what happened subsequent to that is history. And then, of course, the other issues that the former president is referring to, the un-ANC behavior. He's absolutely right. Some of us have been writing about this issue, saying that there are certain conventions that the ANC is known for, one of which is collective responsibility. For example, if the party has not done well, you don't point fingers at your comrades and say so and so is to blame. All you say is, we have not done well. And if the ANC has done well, you don't take credit as an individual, but you say collectively, we have done well. That is why most of the leaders of the ANC, whenever they address the masses, you will not hear them speaking in the singular, saying, I have done this, I have done that. They say, we have decided to do this. Why? Because they believe in collective responsibility. And that is gradually fading away. That is why then the former president is raising concerns that indeed most of what is happening is un-ANC, including, of course, the issue of expulsion, which he alluded to. You recall that the likes of Chris Hani were vocal within the ANC, and they were not happy about certain things, saying that you guys are sitting in the offices in London and offices in Lusaka. We are down there experiencing the harshness of the apartheid government. But then what you are saying, you are just speaking in theory. We are experiencing it firsthand. There was a meeting held in Morogoro in Tanzania to deliberate on the issue, but no one was expelled, simply because the leader then, Oliver Tambo, said people must be afforded an opportunity to raise their concerns. That is how we'll grow the organization. You cannot chase everyone the moment they differ with you. That is the lack of leadership.
And of course, he spoke at length, Prof, about just some of the things, in fact, that, President Ramaphosa has introduced, in fact, calling the ANC a proxy for whites, for colonialism. He wants to form a party that will, help promote and unite Africans. But interestingly, in terms of just some of the reasons that we are mentioning, he says the last straw was, of course, the impeachment of the former public protector. Also mentioning, of course, in the latest, and he says this is the last straw when the ANC has declared war against progressive black professionals and intellectuals. I wonder how much impact will Umkhonto weSizwe have on the ANC as we move to the 2024 elections?
No, thanks for that question, Ms. Patache. Basically, on the first issue of the Mkhwebane matter, luckily I've written at length about that issue. I indicated that the issue was badly handled from day one up to the very last day, including the chairperson of the committee that was looking into the matter, that is Kubutile Janji. People got ecstatic, and then they were so excited about the matter to the extent that they even rushed the process because they wanted to be seen to have done the right thing, which was wrong, by the way. And then that is the reason why then things happened the way they did. I asked a very simple question. I said, if you and I have an issue, you take me to court, the judge finds me guilty, then I appeal, I go to the next court, and then the next court clears me. Do we then, of course, do we then expel the judge that found me guilty? The answer is an emphatic no. So the question then becomes, if then Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane made findings on a particular issue, which findings were subsequently set aside by the court of law, does that warrant her expulsion? The answer is an emphatic no. So why was she expelled? That is the question that only those who are involved in the matter will answer. Then the former president is also crying foul about what is happening to Hlophe. Judge Hlophe, in fact, he's being punished for having been seen to be aligned to the president more than anything else. There is nothing legal about it. There is nothing political about it. It's just a decision they took because he was aligned. He was seen to be aligned to the former president, therefore he had to be punished. So that is why he's saying this was a last straw, because there was a determination to put law aside and then implement, of course, people who are pushing their own self-interest for political expediency, as people would say. So that is exactly the context within which we can understand this address.
And Prof, just that last point about how this will impact the ANC going forward, particularly given, what the former president said, also inviting ANC members to join MK and vote for MK?
That is a very critical question because, like the former president was saying, there are people who have dual membership. I'm currently writing a piece about George Botha, who was killed at Sanlam Building in Gqeberha, and I'm saying that he had a dual membership. Some would say he was a BCM member, others would say he was an ANC member. Many of the ANC members had dual membership. They were members of the ANC and they were members of the SACP. So in this case, MK, as the former president correctly pointed out, it was established on the 16th of December, 1961 as a military wing because, as he correctly pointed out again, the ANC was not an organization that was determined to use arms to fight the state. Now that they are now forming, or they formed an MK, and they are appealing to ANC members to join MK, so the onus is on the ANC leadership to see the extent to which they can forge relations with MK, which is the closest link, given the fact that there is a link between the ANC as an organization and then, of course, MK, which was a liberation movement, and then now it has become a political party. So the success or failure of the ANC will be determined by the leadership prowess of the current leadership of the ANC. If they use, say, what I normally refer to realism, where you don't see the bigger picture, then of course they will regret that decision. But then if they decide to forge relations with MK, because truth be told, the majority of ANC members who are not happy will definitely vote for MK. People who have always voted for the ANC but are disgruntled and did not vote in 2019 and in 2021, in all probability, they are going to vote for MK. So to answer your question, definitely the MK is one organization that is going to cause upset in the ANC, and then the onus is on the ANC leadership to try and manage the situation. Failure to which, then of course, history will judge them badly.
Prof, I don't know if you got the sense in terms of how this new political party will run, and perhaps maybe just talk us through what you got from that press, conference in terms of the formations and the mechanics of how this new party will be run. Particularly because in the statement, the former president stated that he has met with about 10 registered progressive political parties with the aim of fostering unity. And also they are discussing the formation of a patriotic front. What does this then mean in terms of post-2024?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, there are quite a number of things that will be unpacked in 2024, just before the election, once the president has formally announced when the election will take place. But the reality of the matter is, this MK, which is now a political party, has done what all other parties do. You go to the IEC, You indicate that you want to register, you apply, and then, of course, you meet the requirements, and then you pay the money that is supposed to be paid. That is what they are going to do, like any other political party. But for now, the reality is that they are registered as a political party. That is one. So you tick that box, and then you move to the next question. Now, in terms of campaigning, how will MK campaign? It will campaign like all other political parties, except that it will not be campaigning for the ANC. It will be campaigning for the MK. And then post the election, in the event that it doesn't get the 50+1 threshold that is needed to run the country, then in that case, it is going to forge relations with other like-minded political parties. That is where this issue then of a possible collaboration with about 9 other parties to form that particular structure comes in. So in other words, you can look at this and then juxtapose it with CNA's multi-charter coalition that is they started off as the Moonshot Pact, where it's bringing in different political parties. You can look at it from that angle. But with this one, the difference is that it is moving away from the ANC, but it is not moving away from the ANC. That is very interesting, because then some members of the ANC who are not glued up on what is happening, they might end up confused, or they might end up voting for the ANC thinking they are voting for MK, or vote for MK when thinking that they are voting for the ANC. That is why then the former president was saying, for today, his primary agenda was basically to announce this, and then from 2024, when they start campaigning, that is where things will become clearer. And there are other discussions that are happening. My last point is that he put emphasis on the traditional leadership, and he put emphasis on the clergy. You and I know that is how the ANC was formed in Bloemfontein. The clergy was there, the traditional leaders were there, and for some reason, the ANC at some point did not see any space for traditional leaders in the new political dispensation until 1993, in a meeting that was held outside Pretoria. That is when they realized that, no, if we don't include traditional leaders, we run the risk of losing the election, because some of them have been running the homelands and they have more support and they've been operating within the country. Then they brought them in. Look at the constitution and look at the chapter that concerns traditional leaders. It's a very short chapter. It is in fact the shortest chapter in the constitution, which indicates that indeed they've been relegated, and now the intention is to bring them back into the fray and give them the recognition that they deserve, Prof, together with the clergy as well.
Prof, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for that analysis. Professor Bheki Mngobezulu there, just unpacking, of course, our breaking news story.